Welcome back inside the secret Gibby headquarters for another edition of Gibby's Football Podcast. I am your host, Zach McGibbon. We're continuing to truck along. I keep saying it every week. We're trucking along. We're getting through the season. We're now at week 3. And, there's 14 more weeks of this to go. So get excited, folks. Strap in, put the seatbelt on. We're starting to get really, really deep into the NFL season. I don't know how I'll be week 9 when I have to cover a Texans game or a Titans game or whatever, a Chicago Bears game, which we'll talk about the Bears in a moment. But we're making our way through, and one of those people that's also helping me make my way through the NFL each week is one Danny T returning to the show. Daniel Taschereau, Danny T, it's good to see you as always.
How's it going?
Yeah, it's going good, my friend. How are you today?
Oh, not bad. Just got off not too long ago, and ready to talk some ball. So let's do it.
Let's do it. I'm excited. I cannot wait. Before we talk some ball, though, I do want to get some banter out of the way.
Right on.
I'll quickly plug this. That is football related. I made my football TV commentary debut this past weekend. I got to do some play-by-play for the Quinny Skyhawks, and so that was fun. The Skyhawks did not win their game, but it was good to be up in the press box. Was calling the game with Mark Bafal, one of the coaches in the area, and a strong head coach as well. And we had a good time breaking down the game. I got to make a Steve Atwater reference on the broadcast, so I was very happy to get that in there. In fact, specifically, I got to make a Steve Atwater, Christian Okoye reference for all those that know about the big tackle that Atwater made on the Nigerian Nightmare, Christian Okoye, when Okoye seemed unstoppable at fullback. But so that link is up there as well. But I got to tell you this, Mr. Danny T. I got to tell you this. And for those that may have listened to the wrestling podcast and carried over, you may already know about this, but I don't know if you are aware of this, Danny T. But there's a big return locally here. I do not know if you remember Chubby Sodas, Danny T.
Oh, yes.
Yes, big Chubby Sodas guy. Well, let me tell you, I was tipped off by a listener to this show, who's also been a guest co-host on the show, Jonathan Skuse. I was tipped off about the return of Chubby Sodas at my local No Frills. I couldn't believe it, Danny T. Couldn't believe it.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Absolutely not.
That stuff was nasty. It was like RC Cola.
I mean, look, were they healthy? Absolutely not. But I was running on the fumes of nostalgia. And so I'm like, I got to go see these Chubby Sodas. I haven't seen these Chubby Sodas in years.
If you want some flat Pepsi, just put it in a tiny little bottle,
Oh, wow. Wow, Danny T is turning heel on this program. Not a fan of the Chubby Sodas. But I was able to go to the No Frills, and they had them in this little steel basket at the No Frills, just stacked, not even in a fridge. It's all stacked up. And so I did get one of every flavor. So I got the cola. I got 3 versions of the tropical punch. I got what else did I get? I got grape. I got bubble gum, and this is the curveball I was mentioning to you earlier. I got one that I didn't even know existed. It is the pear version. I didn't even realize there's a pear version. I've never had pear. So for you, Danny T, and for all the listeners who may have listened to the wrestling podcast back in the day, a couple months ago when they did the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match between Bray Wyatt and LA Knight, rest in peace, Bray Wyatt. I drank Mountain Dew Pitch Black for the first time on the air on the wrestling podcast and gave a live review. And so for the listeners of the football podcast, you, for the first time ever, are going to get a review of the Chubby Soda popping pear flavor.
Now, did they go up in price? Are they still 99 cents?
It's actually down in price, 75 cents. 75 cents for each drink. So I practically got a deal.
Go get your quarters.
Exactly. And this is better because I have put them in the fridge. So this poppin' pear is cold as opposed to it being lukewarm when I got it from the No Frills. So we are going to have this right here, right now. I'm going to give you a live taste test right here. I'm going to see if I could try and get the cap to open through the microphone. I don't know if you heard that. It's kind of
It's
soft.
very faint, but
My microphone is a little too good at picking up not picking up background noises.
Yeah.
But here we go. Pop and Pear, a live review right here, right now. We're gonna down it in this tiny little chubby soda, and we're gonna give you a live taste test review. This is what podcasting is all about, Daddy T.
This is some grade A journalism right here.
That's right. This is the content that the people want. So here we go. Pop and Pear for the first time.
And here he goes off to the races. The chubby is going down the throat. He's halfway there. He's making it. He's turning around the bend. Oh, and he stumbles at the finish line.
Oh boy.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are not watching the video, it looks like Gibby is about to die or pass out. So
oh boy.
We were this close to being the Danny T football podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, but that is not happening.
We're gonna need to found a co-host.
Wow. Jeez. First of all, it does not taste like pear.
No.
It tastes more like banana.
Bananas.
Yes, there you go. We're already getting our pop culture reference in there.
No.
But I was good. I was trying to chug it. Not very good at the chugging. There's still a little bit of the pop and pear, so we're gonna try and finish this off. Maybe I did.
He tripped at the finish line, but we're gonna let him cross for good measure. You know, there he goes.
Oh, jeez, that does not taste good. That does not taste good.
75 cents would have been happy with the quarters.
Yeah, the 75 cents kind of went down the drain on that one. Oh, jeez. I saw it and I knew I was not going to like it, to be honest.
No.
I'm like, pear? Like, why is there a pear version? But I was like, you know what? We're all about content here at Gibby's Football Podcast. And I'll tell you this. I had the tropical punch. I had the grape. They were very good. Big fan of those. The pear?
Not so much.
Oh, big old X. I am not having this again. Oh my goodness. It's you know what the funny thing was, when I had the Mountain Dew Pitch Black, it was very the version I had was pretty flat. I will admit that. It tasted like a grape soda as opposed, like, I didn't know what Pitch Black meant, so I'm like, I this could be anything. And it just really tasted more like a grape soda, like a Mountain Dew version of grape soda. So I was a little disappointed, and plus it was a little flat. And again, same thing. I put it in the fridge. I thought it'd be nice. Didn't open it, whatever. But but that was just more flat, and it was just very dull. This one is just quite bad. This is not a good beverage. Do not get the popping pear if a chubby soda ends up in your local grocery store. So, but I just saw your cat has also made an appearance once again. An early run-in from your cat.
Rosie, who are your picks?
Yes, give us our week 4 picks. Oh, she's scrambling. She's scrambling out of the pocket.
She's a wide receiver.
There you go.
Yeah,
very good. Very good. Yeah,
you can go
there you go. Get her down there. But oh boy, so already off to a fast start here on the podcast. And before we kind of move on to the football festivities, I should say, it wouldn't be a Gibby's Football Podcast with Danny T if I didn't ask for a lawn gnome update. And I know that things have kind of slowed down a little bit in terms of lawn gnomes, but I do have to put
back up because it's gnome season. The fiance's mother out in Cornwall there, she was at the pickle farm, and they're getting ready for their old big Christmas sale, and they had the gnomes in there. So you can never pass by a gnome and not pick one up for Danny T and Shelby. So we have a gnome in Cornwall that is ready to come home as early as Thanksgiving. So wow,
there you go. That's so we've got an upcoming gnome in Cornwall that is on standby. So looking forward to that.
Traveled gnome.
There you go. And so I guess we'll get things into the football festivities. Let's just get this story out of the way because everybody's talking about it, right? Big entertainment star all over the press, and what's this going to do for football? Finally crossing over into the NFL. Everybody's been talking about one of the great singers of our era, I would say, of our generation. Lots of loyal fans. I know I was listening to this person a lot. And let me tell you, when they announced Usher for the halftime show, I was ecstatic about Usher. I'm sure that's what everybody was talking about, right? The big,
Oh
the
yeah,
big
absolutely.
crossover.
Everybody was very excited about Usher. So in my football group, it was very divided. One of the girls, she loves the old school R&B, and the other one of my other buddies is like, what do we need Usher for? Usher hasn't made a hit single in like 10, 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to see Lil Jon? Are we going to see Luda? So that's but I think you kind of misled the audience there, Gibby. I think I think Usher kind of took a back seat last weekend.
No, I think I am on the pulse of pop culture. Okay, I got my finger on the pulse of pop culture. I'm pretty sure everybody was talking about
I don't know. I
Usher.
think everybody listening to you right now is considering you the anti-hero.
I see what you do. Well, we're gonna keep a blank space on that for the Chiefs and Bears
we're
review.
getting off track here. We got to shake it off.
we gotta shake it off for sure. We are in our new era of Gibby's football podcast. But yes, Usher is the halftime performer for the Super Bowl this year. It's kind of same with you. I had some people that absolutely loved it, and then some that absolutely despised it. I've always been an Usher guy. I mean, I do blame him for bringing Justin Bieber into the media stratosphere.
Oh, that would have happened with or without him. He just won the bidding war.
That's true.
Because
but
Justin Timberlake was actually the other bidder to bring Justin Bieber into the world. So
there you go. Well, he was the one that won, so ultimately he bears the responsibility, and so he's the one I'm going to point fingers to. Boy, I'm still getting backed up from that.
But you know what? We watched the Biebs grow up, and now he kind of just does his own thing. He's not throwing eggs at he's not throwing like eggs at Ferraris no more.
Right.
Well,
he's a grown up now.
His dad there.
Yeah, so. He's a grown up now. The Stratford, Ontario kid is a grown up. But you know what? There were some hits from Usher in the 2000s. I'm like, you know what? I'm excited to see on a big stage. And like you mentioned, we could get some Little John. We could get some Ludacris, make an appearance. It's so. Here's the thing with the halftime shows, and I say this every year, and then I end up reviewing the halftime shows anyway. So this is probably gonna be the same thing. I'm not gonna live or die by what or who is the halftime show this year. Like
it's really gone downhill since probably Katy Perry. Katy Perry was like the last like big Super Bowl. And then my favorite Super Bowl halftime show is underrated, and nobody will share this opinion. And that is the 2001 Super Bowl halftime show with Aerosmith, NSYNC, Britney, Mary J. Blige. They absolutely crushed it. America was watching them because everybody was coming together. It was the first Super Bowl since 9/11. They were just fantastic. It's one of the most bone-chilling Super Bowl halftime shows, right up there with Michael Jackson when Miami just went nuts for like 15 minutes and he just couldn't get a word in. So
it's true. And you know what? NSYNC has reunited recently. And so I was actually thought that maybe, just maybe, we would get an NSYNC reunion for this halftime show. It seemed like there was some rumors maybe they would do an NSYNC and Backstreet Boys coming together, maybe Boys to Men as well, all the boy bands coming in. I think that would have been fun.
Well, you can't leave out 98 Degrees,
Oh, how could I forget 98 Degrees?
You got to give Nick Lachey some love,
Absolutely.
Everybody will know Nick Lachey from Love Is Blind and terrible reality TV, but back before he was married with the beer gut, he was rocking the wife beater with 98 Degrees,
That's right. Yeah, 98 Degrees. My goodness, that's another boy band that throw him into the mix. But I thought maybe there would be a reunion between NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys, but I guess we're gonna go with Usher this year.
If you really want to make it a party, though, we got to talk some S Club 7 here,
Nice. Yes. Oh man, you're really throwing in the classics here.
Aqua still performs. Did you know this?
I didn't know they were still actively performing.
They
Like I thought they were
performed.
just doing
They had a
one-offs.
concert last month in like it was in like Fort McMurray or like Red Deer, Alberta, someplace crazy like that.
Really?
Yeah.
We do need a return of Europop. I can tell you that. I could do with some more Europop in my life. Eiffel 65. Let's get some Eiffel 65 back
Oh
there.
yeah. BB Rexa and David Guetta, they tried to recreate that, but
Not
nothing's
the
ever
same.
as good as the original. No,
For sure.
Disney's learning that the hard way with the live action remakes.
Yeah. You know who is an artist I would like to see make a comeback? It was very, very 90s and early 2000s, but I think would be fantastic for the Super Bowl halftime show. Let's get some Shaggy in there. Let's get some Shaggy.
I don't think Shaggy's big enough,
No?
Maybe Shaggy will be a guest star for Carrie Underwood in Canada, but
That's right. Carrie Underwood announced for the it wasn't the Grey Cup halftime show, right? It's for like a live performance in Hamilton.
Well, I think they stopped doing the halftime show at the Grey Cup just because it's so friggin' cold. Canada in like
True.
in the middle of winter. So I think
Yeah.
they just bumped it up to Friday night there, and that's kind of like the headliner to kick off the Grey Cup festivities.
That's true. I would, you know what, the last Grey Cup halftime show I remember liking, and I think it's a little bit biased because it was in Ottawa, but I did like the Shania Twain one.
Well, I think Carrie Underwood will be all right as long as she can put down the Xanax for an hour.
Yes, that's a deep cut. But alas, this is in terms of Usher. He's going to perform the Super Bowl halftime show, and that was the big entertainment story involving the NFL. Nothing else.
No other musicians.
No other musicians, and it will not be brought up on the show because we know that it's been brought up everywhere else. It's inescapable. Even I fell victim to it.
If you're on TikTok, it just kind of popped up in your feed. I am not on TikTok just because if you want, we can go like tinfoil hatter here, but let's just say I have some opinions about TikTok.
Yeah. I get the tinfoil hat on, maybe get some nice goggles or whatever. But there is a lot about TikTok. I'm not on TikTok either. I try to avoid it as much as I can. My version of TikTok is Instagram Reels.
Yeah.
Like I don't mind getting these TikToks 5 weeks later.
I also don't subscribe to Instagram. Like I'm on it, but I have like one picture from like 15 years ago. So yeah.
There you go. Yeah, it's just to show that you are a real person and it's not just a dummy account that's out there.
No.
I'm a little too active on Instagram. I've been making the transition from Twitter to Instagram recently. I used to tweet all the time, or X, I should say. So
it's still tweeting.
It's still tweeting. I keep seeing it as posting.
Don't put X into your search bar. You'll get some very inappropriate things from what I'm told.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'll try. Let me try X.
You might get Tyreek Hill there, who announced his life after football career.
That's right. All right. X. Do they put up videos or anything like that? Or
I hope not.
That would be hopefully not. I know the actual Twitter service will put up videos, but
the FBI is gonna come for your computer, man. Don't accept those cookies.
Yeah, that's right. That is don't accept the cookies. But I have been making the transition from X to Instagram a little bit more. I just enjoy Instagram and I don't have to post as much. But it's all. So that was our discussion. That was we went from Usher at the halftime show to X and Instagram Reels. So let's get into the actual content here. Let's start off with our football analysis. Let's start with the Thursday nighter. Not an exciting one. Pretty much as expected. The 49ers dominated the New York Giants. The Giants just off to a rough start this year. Many thought that maybe they would be.
I think we can all agree that Daniel Jones he's not a quarterback. He's probably the second best quarterback in New York.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, third best quarterback in New York because we do have to count the Buffalo Bills in the great tri-state area there. So Josh Allen is going to be king of New York.
Yeah.
And then you can rank them Trevor Siemian, Daniel Jones, and maybe Zach Wilson and Tim Boyle. That's probably your list. But yeah, the Niners, their only problem, and this is going to be their downfall again, is they have to learn to go down when you don't need those extra yards. Like Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, they both could have died on the field. We saw them multiple times going for meaningless yards after they got the first down an hour ago. And it's going to be the downfall because your best ability is your availability is what they say. And those guys at one point or another are not going to be available because we see it all the time, every year again, with them again and again and again. So
yeah,
that's what they got.
You mean to tell me Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, and George Kittle aren't the best examples for staying healthy in the NFL?
I mean, hey, I'll give credit to the Niners medical staff because they're keeping McCaffrey's soft tissues up and running. So that's good. Obviously, the offense runs through him. He touches the ball more than the quarterback. And it's just Brock Purdy's job to keep everything on schedule. He's a modern day Trent Dilfer.
Nice. Trent Dilfer. There you go. Yeah, this was kind of expected with the Giants and the 49ers where they're at. I do agree with you. It's especially Shanahan's offense. Injuries are going to be really big factor in how successful they'll be, but they are still probably one of, if not the top team in the NFC to watch out for. As again, we're still early. It's still week 3. Things could change, but I doubt there's going to be much change with this 49ers squad. Plus, the 49ers defense still continues to be a highlight for them. Obviously, you got Nick Bosa, Ufunga at safety, and the linebacking core as well is very good. Javon Hargrave on the defensive line there with Bosa, Javon Kinlaw.
That defense is they're probably a little bit weak in the secondary. They could probably use a corner or something, but you pick and choose your battles. Like a star corner it's nice, but it's icing. It's not the cake,
That's right. Exactly. So in the case of the Giants, where do we feel we're at with them? They just seem to have taken a big step back so far this season.
I mean, the Giants are going to giant, they need to, again, blow it up or something. They haven't collected talent on the offensive side of the ball, or, they have some pieces on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, Kayvon Thibodeau comes to mind. Mm-hmm. But they need some playmakers because they have nothing, and your biggest playmaker needs to touch the ball. And Daniel Jones just is not a playmaker. They need to go out get like a Bo Nix or maybe a Shedeur Sanders, Michael Penix, somebody that can keep the offense on track and make something happen with his legs, because Daniel Jones runs, but he runs for his life. You need somebody that will run around, not for the sake of running, but to kind of extend the play. And any of those guys from the Pac-12 will be able to do that at a higher level than Daniel Jones. You just got to cut bait with the $40 million and on your next pick, because this guy just flat out cannot play football.
Yeah, it's tough because I said this with last week's guest Mike Sarkisian as well. A lot of these quarterbacks, there's like this certain tier. You got and I'll throw Daniel Jones in there, but there are guys that are better than him. But I think you would agree, there's these quarterbacks where it's like, I think they could start, but they're not going to be your high level elite quarterbacks. Obviously,
the bench line is Kirk Cousins. If you're as good as Kirk Cousins, you're a functional quarterback in this league.
That's right.
Now Kirk Cousins on pace to throw the ball a billion times, but that's because they didn't draft a running back. They thought Alexander Matheson would be the answer. But they cannot run the football, and their solution was, if it's broke, don't fix it, because they brought in Cam Akers, a very inefficient running back that will just do a lot of the same thing that Madison does, and that's a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
So they're probably out of this race. It's probably a 2-team race in that division. It's down to Jordan Love and his Packers versus, Jared Goff and his Lions. And I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit later on.
Yeah, let's let's actually build off of that because I do want to get out of the 49ers Giants game. Let us talk about the Chargers and the Vikings to start off, and you kind of touched on it with Alexander Mattison. They put him in as the Dalvin Cook replacement, and right now he is the whipping boy for the Minnesota Vikings fans. He's just not gotten the same production that Dalvin Cook did when he was there.
I mean, Madison as well is like a 5-year, is like he's on like year 5, so he's not a spring chicken. It's not like you're replacing Dalvin Cook with like Jahmyr Gibbs, you know. You're replacing a 28-year-old with like a 26-year-old who, yeah, sure, he didn't touch the ball as much, but he's still long in the tooth. You know, in football terms, you know, I'm not going to say that he's, you know, his career is, you know, like over, but it's just about over because, you know, we're not seeing him run with efficiency or urgency. And that Chargers team, both these teams were trying to lose this game for one reason or another. That call by Brandon Staley, absolutely stupid. And honestly, even though they won the game, it should have been it was probably a fireable offense because I don't care what the analytics say. You're not feeling the game out. You got to punt that ball because you're you know, as good as your defense is playing, you're giving them the ball you're giving them the ball in the red zone when all they need is a touchdown to win. So, you know, it's okay to punt the ball.
Yes. You mean to tell me Brandon Staley making a questionable decision with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter? It must be a day that ends in Y for the LA Chargers.
He has got to be the most Madden coach that there is.
Very much so.
He's a 12-year-old playing Madden. That's what he is.
Yeah, I'm still shocked he's there as head coach. I thought after that Jaguars collapse in the playoffs that would have been his cue to exit. I think he could probably still be a solid enough defensive coordinator somewhere, but as a head coach making these final decisions,
because it's his job to get that side of the ball right as the head coach, and like he just cannot. And he like you're never gonna find a greater collection of talent unless you're gonna go be, unless you're gonna go be Kyle Shanahan's defensive coordinator. But like, well, I'm not even sure if he's a great defensive coordinator at that.
Yeah, it's. I mean, he came in with some fanfare, like with the when everybody was talking about all the different offensive coordinators under the Sean McVay system. Staley stuck out as a guy that was being innovative on the defensive side of the ball, and the Chargers thought, well, you know what? Let's change things up. Let's be ahead of the curve and try and get a guy who's innovative on the defensive side of the ball. He comes from the same system. His system is similar to that of Vic Fangio, of the defensive coordinator now for the Miami Dolphins. And Fangio is known for having great defenses.
You can't replicate what Fangio does. You know, it's like you can't replicate. Well, I guess you can replicate what Shanahan does because half the teams in the league run that system. But like what Vic Fangio does is just absolutely amazing. I think him and Brian Flores might be the best defensive coordinators in the league.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned it. This was a game of who wants to lose more, and in this case, it was the Minnesota Vikings. Just a classic Vikings play. Kirk Cousins puts up all these big numbers, and you see it. And as a fantasy player that has Kirk Cousins on a lot of his teams, I enjoy it. But if you're a Vikings fan and you want to win games, and this is similar to how the Vikings have been last year, where they were within one score in a lot of the games that they won.
I'm gonna throw something at you.
Sure.
All right. There's four winless teams left. If you're Minnesota and you lose to the Carolina Panthers this weekend, do you trade Kirk Cousins and pair Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison with Jordan Addison's boy from last year, Caleb Williams?
Oh, tank for Caleb?
Collapse for Caleb. Do you do it?
Collapse for Caleb. I guess the question would be, who would take Kirk Cousins? And I would think you're going to say the New York Jets.
He's got, well, like he has one. He's in a lame duck year. So even if you give somebody like a second round pick to take him, you know, like you can just get rid of that cap. Just rip the Band-Aid off. Just go out and get what we're calling the next generational talent. You know. Like this guy has been the most hyped prospect since Andrew Luck. So like,
Yep.
do you go out and get that? And you pair him with a nice offensive coordinator in Ken O'Donnell, do you know?
Yeah.
Or Kevin O'Connell.
Kevin O'Connell. You don't be confused with the quarterback there, Ken O'Donnell. But
hey, Kevin O'Connell, he's a backup quarterback too. He's Super Bowl winning backup quarterback.
Yeah, that's true. Ken O'Donnell, also the former White House appointments secretary, as I was Google searching him.
There you go.
But
no, I was thinking of Robin from that stupid Batman movie there, Chris O'Donnell. You know?
Oh yes, that's great. Wasn't he in those NCIS TV shows, whatever? Or what are those crime scene shows? Yeah, that's a classic. The Bat credit card still sticks out in my mind. But for Batman and Robin. But I here's the thing with Caleb Williams. I'm not as high on him as others are, and I know not to say that I don't think he's gonna be. Not to say I think he's gonna be a bad quarterback or anything like that. There are things with Caleb Williams where, we were talking about Staley being a Madden coach. Sometimes it feels like Caleb is being a Madden player in which he's just going to chuck it because he knows he has the arm talent to do it. And he kind of forces plays. And I wonder if that would...
Well, I mean, you could do that in the Pac-12 where they don't play defense, so...
True. Well, yeah, as we know with Lincoln Riley, defense does not exist with a Lincoln Riley coach team, as we're learning with the USC Trojans. But yeah,
they have a fine defense. Like they could probably get to they could probably get to the playoff, but they don't have the horses on defense to run with Georgia.
No,
so
definitely not. So it's tough with the Vikings. I feel like this is still like a win it, prove it year. So I think they're going to stick with Kirk
because you can't pay Kirk Cousins when you have to back up the Brinks truck for Justin Jefferson.
Yep.
So why not take a cheap quarterback? He's got weapons.
Just kind of fold in the year, see if you got a quarterback back there, and
take Caleb Williams, and then come back with like a running back in round 2 or a running back in round 3, a left tackle in round 2. Kind of rebuild everything.
I'm just looking at the Vikings depth chart here to see who their backup quarterback is. I mean, Nick Mullins. So do you just run with Nick Mullins for the rest of the season?
Hey, he showed that he knows how to lose games.
And you know what? That is perfect for the Minnesota Vikings. So yeah, I don't know. I get where you're coming from. This is a lame duck year for Kirk. This still feels like and I know they're down 0-3, but I look at the talent that's there, and I still feel like this is a team that could be competitive later on, but I wouldn't throw in the towel just yet. Ask me around the trade deadline time, and I might have a different answer. But I'm not throwing in the towel if I'm the Vikings just yet. So, what is the deadline this year? Is the week 7 or week 8?
I think it's Halloween. Might be Halloween.
Okay, gotcha. So yeah, give me a couple more weeks. Give me a couple more weeks. I'm not ready to throw in the towel just yet.
Now, that being said, I think they can beat the Panthers this week because the Panthers are god awful. Bryce Young is not he might be a bottom tier NFL quarterback, but he's just too small, and he doesn't have that Kyler Murray effect where he can extend plays with his legs and kind of get out of the pocket and give Kyler credit. He throws like the best deep ball in the league.
Yeah.
Where Bryce Young is kind of just a smaller version of Tua Tagovailoa. He's just a small guy that can't see over the line and can't really move a whole lot. He depends on his accuracy, and with Frank Reich calling the plays, he kind of likes to move that pocket a little bit. So you need some mobility, and that's just not Bryce's game.
Yeah. So. Let's talk about the Packers and the Saints. The Packers coming back to beat the Saints at Lambeau Field, 18-17. It appears that Derek Carr is hurt.
After that Carr sandwich. Yeah,
that's right. And so you're a Packers fan, as we all know, Mr. Danny T. How are you feeling? Are you in love with Jordan Love?
I still don't know if he can play football, man. He leads the league in uncatchable throws right now. So you got to put that on your receivers. Now, granted, he doesn't have guys that he's familiar with because, obviously Watson and Jones are both out. But hey, good on him for the largest comeback in Packers history.
Yeah. Yeah. It's and it's funny. I'm sure you've seen this video as well, but there was the game tape that came out of Jordan Love looking a little bit like Aaron Rodgers with the fake handoff, the bootleg to the outside, the nice little sidearm throw to make the play.
You watch do you watch What's Right with Nick Wright?
I do not. No.
Oh,
I have
you
better
should.
things to do than watch Nick Wright.
Oh no, when Nick Wright isn't on cable television, he's unhinged. It's great. It's some
That's
great
good.
television watching.
I've not. What has he pointed out about Jordan Love?
Oh no, I was just gonna say that. Well, you kind of get the. Well, no, we can't go there. We can't go there because you're one of your 7 listeners might find that might unsubscribe to that theory. But anyway, Jordan Love was.
All right, keep it in the
off camera.
Cool, sounds good.
But again, Jordan Love, we don't know if he can play football or not, man. It's gonna be. I think this week will be a little bit of a telltale sign when he plays against a little bit stiffer competition. I think obviously the Lions can move the ball, and he's going to have to move the ball to keep up. But as far as the Saints go, onward with Jameis Winston, and it's actually really funny. We were watching the games, and my buddy was watching the Jets game at the time, and he was like, they have to replace Zach Wilson. He's like, what happened to Jameis Winston? I was like, well, buddy, you ask and you receive, because 5 minutes later we get the car sandwich and Jameis Winston comes in. So I'm like, there you go. Turn on the Packer game and you'll get to see your Jameis Winston there. But we know he's not afraid to chuck the ball. So, fire up Chris Olave.
Let's go. As a Chris Olave fantasy football owner in multiple leagues, I'm fired up. Cannot wait. So
he's my WR2, so I'm hoping that my WR1 can get going here.
There you go. He's actually a flex in a couple of my leagues, Chris Olave.
See, my league we don't play with flex. So
ooh, I like that.
Do 3 wide. We do 3 wide receivers now.
Nice.
Now our league is really divided because half of us want the flex and half of us don't want the flex. Mm-hmm. So we're just gonna have the same song and dance over and over again. But I have been lobbying for half-point PPR in my fantasy football league, and it's just not coming around.
It's not getting through the board of governors over there in your fantasy football league, and
no,
it's not getting through in the owners meeting.
I'm gonna bring the next year. I don't have to work on Sunday, so I'm gonna bring it up in the board of governors meeting.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
So you did mention the Lions a little bit earlier, so let's just talk about them quickly. Dominating the Atlanta Falcons 20-6. Jared Goff continues to look pretty good under center, and also good game for Sam Laporta. 8 catches, 84 yards, and a touchdown in there as well. I've been on this show saying I am not a Desmond Ridder believer, and it has continued to show over the last couple of weeks.
No, he is not somebody that they want or trust to throw the ball. Again, there's another team. They're talented enough to win enough games, so they're going to be looking. They're going to be looking in the direction of Drake May or Michael Penix or JJ McCarthy, who I don't think is an NFL quarterback, but he will go in the first round. But best case scenario for Atlanta, Shedeur Sanders comes out of college and he goes to Atlanta.
That would be quite the reunion there.
Yeah.
That could be something. Is Andre Rison's kid in college somewhere, and we could put Andre Rison on this Falcon squad, or Andre Rison Jr.? That's what we need. Get those bad boy Falcons out there.
But I've been on the record of saying that Jared Goff is the second best quarterback in the NFC. So
that's right. And hey, you know what? The way he's been playing, I would have laughed at you before the season started. But now the way he's been playing, it's not that far off. I don't think he's number 2, but I don't think he's
well, I mean, like we've talked about some pretty awful quarterbacks here, like Josh Dobbs, he can't even find his jersey at the Atlanta Falcons store or at the Arizona Cardinals store.
Yeah. Oh, we'll talk about that Cardinals game. Don't you worry. I got a lot to
But
say
no,
about the Cardinals game.
as long as Goff keeps going, and as long as Amon-Ra's toes hold up, they'll be all right.
Yeah.
Hoping they get David Montgomery back here.
Yeah.
I just traded Damian Pierce for David Montgomery,
So you're really and hey, they've used him as an every down back as opposed to Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs got a lot of carries this game, 17 carries for 80 yards, and didn't really use him too much out of the passing game this time around. But he's always he is always somebody at least to kind of keep an eye on to be.
Well, we're looking at these first round running backs, and we're just like to both coaches, like, what are you doing here, pal? Like the talent level between Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier is noticeable.
Yeah.
Not so much with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Like, I think Jahmyr Gibbs is a jag. I think he's just a guy. But Bijan Robinson, he is special, and you got to give special players the ball. Despite what Arthur Smith thinks about not caring about our fantasy teams, but we have his best players. We're just trying to help him.
Yeah,
help us help you.
Yeah, exactly. It's a give and take here, Mr. Smith. Come on, like I know you share the same first name as the owner, Arthur Blank, and I know you're connected there. But like, come on.
This is what happens when you're a silver spoon child. Because
that's right.
Dad owns FedEx.
That's right. Let's talk about this blowout here of let me check my notes here. Houston Texans over the Jacksonville Jaguars, 37-17. What's going on with the Jaguars offense here, Danny T?
Well, it looks like Ohio State actually had a quarterback, because CJ Stroud, he's doing enough to make plays behind a terrible offensive line. Now, I didn't think he could overcome the chaos of that organization, that clown shoes organization. But to his credit, he came in and he's stabilized the most important position.
I was gonna bring up Tank Dell to you. It's like you came on this show. He's like, Tank Dell's gonna be nothing in this league.
But hey, he's playing. He found the right quarterback. Oh, and by the way, this happens to me every week and every year when, I kid you not, the most random player will have a career year when they're playing against me in fantasy football. I don't know how they do it. Okay. I've lost to these are some of the players that I've lost to in the past. Ronald Jones had a 99-yard touchdown run against me.
Nice.
Okay. Not so long ago, Nico Collins went off for like 210 yards and a touchdown against me. Last week, Raheem Mostert was in Buddy's lineup. He went off for 38 fantasy points, and we just keep going down the list. So like I just hate Nico Collins and CJ Stroud and what he does here, just chucking the ball. So
yeah, I'll tell you this: if you listen to this podcast, you would have heard me praising CJ Stroud even at Ohio State, and I was well aware at the time. Yes, it is an Ohio State quarterback. A lot of them don't really make that transition to the NFL very well. And yes, we are only a couple of weeks in. I'm like, CJ Stroud, he's got some tools, and I actually liked him better than Bryce Young coming out of college. And so far,
I did too. I didn't think that Bryce Young was big enough. I thought that CJ Stroud was the way to go. He's a lot more mobile too. So that was really surprising that Frank Reich didn't go with CJ Stroud, because Frank Reich has always loved guys with a little bit of mobility that are a little bigger.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, CJ Stroud, he's gonna be all right in this league. And do we know the name of the offensive coordinator for the Texans?
I do not off the top of my head, no.
Because if CJ Stroud just keeps playing like this, he's gonna get him paid. Whether or not he's a good coordinator, that's up for debate. But he's got CJ humming along here.
Bobby Slowick is the offensive coordinator for the Texans. He spent 6 seasons with the San Francisco 49ers, most recently serving as the offensive passing game coordinator.
Makes sense. Then, yeah, he's got the
Shanahan influence.
The Shanahan connection there with D'Amico Ryans obviously coming over too. And I'm not sure, but I think he also brought over wide receiver coach Wes Welker.
I believe you are correct. Yes, I will double check that here.
So not surprising that Tank Dell is making plays,
Ben McDaniels is actually the wide receivers coach for the Houston Texans. So what is Wes Welker doing nowadays? We're gonna.
I'm pretty sure. Like I thought he was in Houston. He's a wide receivers coach somewhere.
He is a wide receivers coach for the Miami Dolphins.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I knew he was with one of them Shanahan boys.
Yeah, and that's going to transition us into this monster blowout game from the Dolphins. Mike McDaniel using his personal experience as the ball boy for the Denver Broncos, and whatever happened there, he lashed out on the Broncos and said more points. In fact, as we're talking, they have just scored another touchdown. I can confirm.
Hey, now you're painting Mike McDaniel in a bad light here because he did take mercy on them. He could have broke the record at 73 points by taking a field goal, but he was like Xerxes in 300, for he is kind,
It's true. He showed mercy. And not only that, with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter as well, when they scored the 70th point.
Yeah.
So 8 minutes left. They could have easily got a field goal in because it was pretty clear that the Broncos had given up at that point. When Mike White is throwing a 60-yard touchdown bomb, things are bad. Now, he played well for the
first time that somebody's lost a fantasy matchup to Mike White, So
yeah, you're just getting personally attacked by all.
Oh yeah, he is a serviceable backup. I will give him that. Like I thought he played really well when he was with the Jets. So to me that was a no-brainer to go out and grab him for the Dolphins after Skylar Thompson just showed you that he is not an NFL quarterback. I thought that Mike White would have been a great backup for the Denver Broncos, but alas, Sean Payton went with Jarrett Stidham. So
yeah. Well, Stidham showed some stuff at Las Vegas when he got some starts, and so that's sometimes all it is. If you show enough, you'll get yourself a guaranteed backup job.
So backup quarterback might be the best job in America, man.
Yes,
no kidding. You get paid $8 million to do very little work.
Yeah, I think of Charlie Whitehurst,
Flipboard Jesus.
Yeah, I think of the McCown brothers. Who's the quarterback that's now does the YouTube channel? The QB School. JT O'Sullivan. Another backup quarterback, played for like 17 different teams.
Jordan Palmer. He also taught all them boys.
Chase Daniel as well. Another man paid.
Dan Orlovsky just called the Matt Stafford game there last night.
That's right. Orlovsky. Another player, Orlovsky, during a game, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But just kind of going over here, Miami this is just dominant, especially if you had either one of the Miami Dolphins running backs, Devon Achane, and Raheem Mostert. You were a very, very happy individual. In the case of Achane, 203 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, 11.3 yards per carry. That is insane.
Obviously, we've seen teams give up, but we've never seen a team give up before the season even started. The absolute defeat of the Denver Broncos. This win was impressive, not only because they beat the Broncos, but they might have beat the Broncos for the rest of the year because these guys look defeated and they're just having none of this. And we might just see them cut Russell Wilson next year.
Wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. Although I will say, I think Russell Wilson, for all things considered, is actually better this year than where he was last year.
Well, sure, he's got an actual offensive coordinator this year, but we're not seeing any juice. We're seeing that he left Pete Carroll. Obviously, it's not always, the grass isn't always greener on the other side, but Sean Payton, he's not Sean Payton's quarterback. Cut him, take the $70 million dead cap hit, and just reboot the franchise.
Well, you better hope that the cap limit will be significantly increased over that time to at least accommodate that sort of dead cap. But
the Packers have a $75 million dead cap hit right now. But when you don't pay your quarterback anything, it kind of offsets that, right?
True. Yeah, that is true. And I should mention all this, by the way, the Dolphins doing this, and they did not have Jalen Waddle in the lineup. He was in concussion protocol.
And
I can
still
only and still is. I can only imagine.
we are recording this right now.
Yeah, as I can only imagine what Jalen Waddle being included in this would have done to this Denver Broncos team. But yeah, nothing much else to say. The Broncos just look absolutely defeated. We're only third week in, but these are games that can, like, as you mentioned, could totally set the tone for the rest of the season and your confidence in a coach. And this is not the game that the Broncos were looking for.
Well, I don't think
weird.
I don't think it's the players that lost confidence in the coach. I think it's the coach that lost confidence in the players. You know, I think you're going to see every one of those guys just be kicked to the curb, except for Marvin Mims.
Yep. Yeah, Mims did look pretty good as well, for all things considered.
I don't know why you don't get your most productive guy the football. It's a bold strategy.
Yeah. Doesn't seem to work out for a lot of these teams when they don't do that. I don't know why.
No.
So let's move on from that 70-pointer, and we'll go to another dominant performance here. It's kind of been the theme for the next little bit. The Browns really putting on a big display against the Titans offense. The Titans offense just did not get much going.
You gotta kick Tannehill to the curb. Again, you gotta see what you have in either Malik Willis or Will Levi.
Will Levis, yes.
Yeah. Because there's very little to work with there. Derrick Henry is obviously on his last leg. Yeah, this is another franchise that they have the right leadership in place, but they have to rebuild the defense. Maybe get a playmaker for the next quarterback, because Traylon Burks has not been able to stay healthy, and DeAndre Hopkins is still 34 years old. So there's he's long in the tooth as well. So they're very incapable of moving the ball, and against a defense like Cleveland, Cleveland will come at you.
Yep, they will. And at the risk of scorn, Deshaun Watson had a very good game as well. 27 for 33.
Hey, what a guy wants to do in his personal life is on him, but come and play on Sunday, and everything will be forgiven by the league.
Yeah,
it's the ultimate meritocracy.
Yeah,
you rise to the top, you'll get playing time and you'll get paid. So
yeah, which is unfortunate, but that's how the NFL has decided to operate with Deshaun Watson. But looking at it from
alleged,
I should say. But yeah, he's
Deshaun Watson's gonna come out here for defamation of character.
I know. Yeah, I'm sure he's tuning into this podcast.
He might be listener number 8.
That's right. Yeah. Well, he has more accusers than we have listeners on this podcast. Eh? Like, think about it that way. But no, I mean, in terms of his on-field play, Deshaun Watson completed 27 for 33, 289 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, including a 43-yard touchdown pass to Amari Cooper. And this is without Nick Chubb in the lineup as well. Jerome Ford, the starting running back for the Browns.
R.I.P. my fantasy season. So
yeah, the unfortunate injury last week for Chubb, but or sorry, not Chubb. Yeah, Chubb.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of Kareem Hunt, who was recently signed back to the Cleveland Browns. But yeah, really not much else I could say on this game. I think this is what I sort of expected from the Titans. The Browns.
Deshaun Watson has always owned the Titans anyway. He's like Aaron Rodgers and the Bears. Yeah.
So. And much the same for this Buffalo Bills Washington Commanders game. I mean, they just dominated the Commanders throughout.
One touchdown away from my over. They could not get a touchdown. But the guy that I was very impressed with is Brian Robinson. He was very efficient with the touches that he got. 10 totes for 70 yards. Obviously couldn't smash it into the end zone, but that'll happen against Buffalo, and they are getting ready for an AFC East juggernaut showdown here coming up this week. And as long as Josh Allen has them boys ready, I think everything will be all right, because that Miami team, I think the game is the game in Miami or Buffalo. Do we know? Oh, we'll get there.
We'll get there. But not much else to say. The commies were not able to seize the means of offensive production, and only had Sam Howell throw 4 interceptions. This was not Sam Howell's best game. You mentioned Brian Robinson. He did make use of his touches when he had them, but I think the story here is that opening game where everyone was panicking about the Bills because of the loss of the Jets.
What do we think about the story that has gone viral in the Washington circles here? Have you picked up on that one yet?
I have not seen this story that's gone
So
viral.
there is a group of Native Americans that are allegedly taking the Washington to court for suppressing them for not going by the name the Redskins.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm just reading this Pro Football Talk article now. I was not aware of this.
Florio comes at it from a different perspective, just because Florio is like a law guy, but we are like, but the one that I read out of NBC Montana is that they're petitioning to get the Redskins back here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't think it'll go far, but I will have to read this over and use my news reporter cap to kind of analyze the lawsuit. But I mean, I know that there was a talk of bringing it back. There was some sort of campaign once the new ownership came in. Josh, not Snyder, that would be Dan Snyder. Josh Harris, I believe his name was.
Yeah,
the one that Magic Johnson is in.
Yeah, they own everything. They own the Devils, the Washington. They own the Dodgers. So
yeah, they own everything.
Yeah,
they're practically Disney. That's interesting. I was not aware of that. All I know though is that they were not able to beat the Buffalo Bills. That is what I know.
And don't blame them.
Yeah.
Washington will get its wins, but not against Buffalo here.
Yeah. Colts and Ravens, it went into overtime. Justin Tucker did not look like Justin Tucker. He looked human again this week.
I mean, I'm not gonna fault the guy. I'm not gonna fault the guy for missing a 61-yard field goal attempt. The Ravens were really beat up, but hey, Shane Steichen has proven that he can take any kind of quarterback and make that quarterback viable and win some games with that quarterback. He made Justin Herbert look great. He made Jalen Hurts look great. He's made Anthony Richardson look great. He made Gardner Minshew look like an NFL quarterback. So that's all you can do. And this kind of sums up the tenure of the Lamar Jackson Ravens, is that they cannot stay healthy. They've kind of taken on the mentality of their leader in Lamar Jackson, and then the guys are out with scraped knees.
Yeah, J.K. Dobbins, the most recent example.
His career was over before it even started.
Yeah, it's just
and he held out this summer too because he wanted a long-term deal.
Yeah, that was not going to work out very well for him.
No.
And also OBJ, shockingly, has also some injury problems.
I'd rather Marvin Jones' career over Odell Beckham Jr.'s career.
Wow, there you go.
Yeah.
Marvin Jones over OBJ. You don't want the popularity that comes with making an insane catch against the Dallas Cowboys in prime time.
I mean, that's obviously that's the Jerry Jones effect, but like from a pure football standpoint, Marvin Jones Jr. had a far superior career.
OBJ won a Super Bowl with the Rams. Gotta think of that. We are in a rings culture,
Marvin Jones Jr. put up 4 touchdowns in a game. No,
in a game, yes.
Odell Beckham never did that.
Yeah, you could take your Super Bowl ring and shove it up your ass. I had a 4 touchdown performance in an NFL
that got him paid, and that got him and that kind of like set up his like kind of his identity as a serviceable player in fantasy, because you were always like, oh, I gotta play Marvin Jones.
There you go. That's the standard.
But if you do the blind resume game and you put up Odell Beckham versus Marvin Jones, you'd be like, oh, I want the Marvin Jones.
Yeah. Marvin Jones making it over 1,000 yards receiving back in 2017. So, he's been a reliable, consistent receiver. He's not a wide receiver one, but somebody you definitely want to have in the rotation. So
Yeah.
no fault in that.
Right. I can see him transitioning to a wide receiver coach there next season on the line stuff.
But in the case of this Colts and Ravens game, yeah, overtime was needed. And the Colts, Matt Gay, putting up some key field goals for the Colts. Gardner Minshew having an Orlovsky moment, stepping out of bounds.
Minshew mania.
Minshew mania. I've been a Minshew defender. In fact, I have been a supporter of Gardner Minshew. And he did enough here. I didn't think he was outstanding. But I did think
he never will
solid
be.
enough. I thought he was solid enough, though.
He's got a pop gun arm, so.
Yeah, that's the thing. Again, like I said in the last episode, he's not this freak athlete, but he will get the job done. He is a serviceable quarterback in this NFL.
Yeah.
Honestly, probably a starter in some of the other teams, to be frank. And I know that's pushing a little bit.
The Jets and the Bears, I don't know.
Like I think the Jets could absolutely use some Gardner mania right now, some Minshew mania. Do you don't think that guy would lead that Jets squad to a miracle playoff run?
I think they'd be feisty, and he'd know how to get the ball to Garrett Wilson.
Yep.
But I think Matt Hackett is just not a coach.
Yep.
The only thing Matt Hackett knows how to do is save your fantasy season.
That's right. Yeah. So and once again, I will highlight Zay Flowers for the Baltimore Ravens.
They need to start throwing him the ball beyond the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
His ADOT is just, it's so bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's like how the Pittsburgh Steelers used Juju Smith-Schuster back in the day. It's just, it's not good and it's not sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, Lamar Jackson is reverting back to his form and trying to get the ball to Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
They should never let go Hollywood Brown. They've been trying to find this guy a receiver. And, Hollywood, he's had some really good years and he's better than anything they have on that roster.
Yep, it's true. Let's move on to the Patriots and the Jets. The Patriots continue their winning ways over the New York Jets. The Jets offense not getting much going. Why is Zach Wilson still the starting quarterback for the New York Jets, Danny T?
I don't know, man. Like Robert Saleh needs to win. He's probably the fact that Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles on the fourth snap of the season, that might have given Robert Saleh one more year to figure this out here. But I cannot think of why they're rolling with Zach Wilson when they've had guys write them letters and call that they want to come play quarterback for the New York Jets. And the formula is pretty simple. The Jets have a clear path to winning football games, and that's give the ball to Breece Hall. Give the damn ball to Breece Hall, and you'll be all right.
And Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, but you gotta like right now, this offense has to run through Breece Hall. Like I don't care. Like he's shown that he can comfortably cut, and like that he's past that mental hurdle from tearing his ACL, and physically he's all right. So you just give him the ball, let him go make a play, bring up that defense, and then take a shot over the top to Garrett Wilson here. But but right now the New York Packers are not looking good.
Yeah, it's really looking tough for the Jets, and I am looking at their depth chart, the other quarterback, and I know they had signed Trevor Siemian. Tim Boyle,
another drinking buddy of Aaron Rodgers.
I still remember when it was Tim Boyle and who was the running back for the Lions. But they decided, you know what, we're just going to run all over the Dallas Cowboys.
Was it was it Craig Reynolds or Zach Zenner?
No, it wasn't either of those guys. It was a guy who's not been in the league since that running back. He was on the Cowboys practice squad, and now it escapes me. But I need to know. I cannot believe that Tim Boyle is not a better quarterback at this stage than Zach Wilson, or at least get him out there to see what you have in this offense.
Oh no, Tim Boyle can't play. I've seen him play. He's just there because he's another one of Aaron Rodgers' drinking buddies. Randall Cobb, Alan Lazard. They just go out and drink with Aaron Rodgers after the game.
I'm trying to find this game against the Cowboys that Boyle decided, I'm just going to unload. But yes, Yeah, I just look at this and I just see a team that they need a change at quarterback, and just to get this offense going, because the defense I think is there. It's just they are being forced to keep their team in it, and this is kind of what happened with the Patriots game, where it was more of a defensive standoff between these two squads. And so
They're kind of stuck though, because they cannot trade their first or second round pick this year. So
no.
because that pick is that like even though the conditions aren't going to be met, they still can't get rid of that first round pick because it has to be locked in there until the end of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it would make it tough if you want to go out and seek a Kirk Cousins if he was available. So
I think you can get Kirk Cousins for like a 3 or a 4 though. Like at this point they just kind of want to get him out of town. So
I will throw this question out there, and I might regret asking this question, but I think you already know the question I am going to ask. Colin Kaepernick sent a letter to the New York Jets saying he would like to be on their practice squad. Any chance at all of Colin Kaepernick being in there?
I mean, I wrote a letter to OLG today saying that I would like the winning numbers for the lottery coming up here.
Oh,
the $68 million, but again, they didn't
respond.
They didn't respond, So Colin Kaepernick and I were kind of in the same boat,
Yeah. I think the
just go be a storyteller. He's got a production company. If he wants to go be just go be a storyteller. You haven't played football in 7 years.
Yeah, he is a guy that I think the ship has sailed at this point for Colin Kaepernick returning to the NFL. I have my thoughts on it.
Have a better chance of making the Jets practice squad at this point.
Yeah, it's and look, I have my thoughts on it on Kaepernick being. I mean, because let's agree, like he was blackballed from the league.
I mean, I don't think he was very good when he was in the league.
Yeah, and that too, but there are quarterbacks in there that I still think Kaepernick was better than, that he could have at least gotten some opportunities. But him skipping out on that NFL workout back in 2019 and trying to put it on his terms, I think just really screwed him over. Really bad call on Kaepernick's part. So
well, he doesn't want to play football. He wants to dominate the headlines.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of getting the name out there at this point.
Yeah.
I will also list off another quarterback that I saw that's could potentially sign with the Jets. He is still a free agent. He's been a starter for other teams. In fact, he was a second overall pick many years ago in 2017 behind Jared Goff, and that is one Carson Wentz, who is still out there. Do you think Carson Wentz is somebody that could come in and at least give the New York Jets a fighting opportunity?
I mean, he can make them a little bit more exciting. He's got the Jameis Winston in him. Some bonehead plays at some bonehead times. That probably wouldn't work with a defensive head coach. You kind of need somebody to put their arms around him and rein him in, like we saw with Frank Reich when he was in Indianapolis there. So at this time, for that reason, I'm out.
There you go. Very nice. Shark Tank edition of Gibby's Football Podcast. But yes, I think you should. I think they should look into it. I don't know if he's the guy for this season, but I think they should give him a tryout. See what you've got. Is he a starter in this league? Probably not, but I think he's a better option than Zach Wilson at this point, personally. Definitely better than Tim.
That bag of footballs behind you is a better option than Zach Wilson.
It's true. That's true. All right, let's get off of this Jets and Patriots talk. Let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Carolina Panthers. Andy Dalton filling in for Bryce Young.
Throwing the ball a zillion times,
Yeah. 58 passing attempts Andy Dalton threw. 361 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. I thought maybe there would be more of a drop-off in Geno this year, and it has not been as substantial as I thought it would be. I still think he's been serviceable.
This is gonna sound crazy, but we haven't seen the best of Geno Smith this season yet. Right now, he doesn't have not all his wide receivers are healthy. Not all of them are being utilized. But once his hand finally heals and that cast comes off, and he can catch footballs again, they're gonna be something to reckon with. Definitely a contender for one of them wild cards.
Yep.
Because I don't think that they can take down the Niners without Jackson Smith and Jigba. No, Pete Carroll's got that team humming along just like the old Reggie Bush USC days,
That's right. And unfortunately did not have the Heisman to prove it, obviously. Yeah, I Seahawks look pretty good in this game. The Panthers are still a team that's kind of seeking out its identity, and obviously not having Bryce Young in there. For all we've kind of said about him, he really hasn't had enough game experience for me to really give some analysis. He hasn't been great when he's been out there, but
they're gonna end up giving the Bears another top 10 pick.
Ooh, that would be spicy.
Because the Bears have Carolina's pick from the Bryce Young trade.
That's right. And so
they're trying to pull the old Arizona Cardinals. They want Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr.
Boy, that would be quite the duo there, as we saw in. That would be something.
Real quick, you think Harrison comes back this year?
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
Like
at this point, what do you have to prove?
It's true. He's already at least a top 10 pick in a lot of people's minds. Some would say he's the first overall pick. I don't know
you do like Jamar Chase.
I think it depends on how they do in the playoff. Like it depends on how if they.
Oh no! Like I'm saying like he physically got hurt last week.
Yes.
And do you risk doing further damage to yourself, or do you just protect your stock? And just leave school right now.
Just leave, and you had that little
get ready for the NFL.
I know that Bosa did that a couple of years ago, where he stopped around October.
Jamar Chase just said screw it and sat out the whole 2020 season.
Yeah,
he's like, I'm better than everybody, and I don't need to prove it.
Yeah. I guess it would have to be what is Marvin Harrison Jr.'s motivation this year. Like, would it be for a national championship? Because if it is, I would imagine he's still going to play.
Right now, Ohio State's goal is to beat Michigan.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can do that.
Michigan looks pretty good this year. They're a more complete team than Ohio State is. So I guess I wish I could give you an answer, but I honestly cannot solidly say. I'm going to say he's going to still play this year. I think if Ohio State was out of it, if they were like 15th in the nation or whatever, then yes, I could see him sitting out and be like, you know what? I've already done what I need to do. I proved myself, and this is not a team that's going to.
You should just go move down to Indianapolis for a year, just hang out with Peyton, throw some balls.
Yeah. Maybe make an appearance on the Manning cast. You never know.
You think we see Arch Manning with Marvin Harrison Jr. there?
Wow, that would be quite the duo. Colts fans are salivating at that. I know they got Anthony Richardson and Michael Pittman, but that would be
obviously Arch Manning. He is not going to get on the field for Texas until next year.
Yeah,
because Quinn Ewers has that job locked down.
Yep,
and humming. But
do you think Arch Manning's going to transfer at all out of Texas?
I don't think he needs to. He's making a lot of money to be there.
Yeah.
And Quinn Ewers is going to the NFL next year.
Yep. So no reason for him to transfer out. Yeah, that'll be fascinating to watch. Yeah. So that's your Seahawks Panthers analysis right there. College football.
Yeah.
That's our analysis.
I guess so. Yeah, we did. We already did the Colts and Ravens.
Yeah. And Kenneth Walker, I should mention, is still playing at a
very high level.
Yeah. I'm a big Kenneth Walker fan.
Like if they didn't go out and draft Zach Charbonnet, Ken Walker would have been in the conversation for a swing pick somewhere around that 11-12 range in the first round.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's talk about the Chiefs and the Bears. Did anything significant happen
I think there was a guest at this game.
Was there?
I think so.
I saw Travis Kelce's mom was there.
Uh,
I don't know. Were there any? Did they have a camera on anybody at any point during the game? It felt like
I think at one point they went away from the game and they actually just kept the camera on this individual because it was a little bit more interesting than watching the Chiefs just kick the crap right out of the Bears.
It's true.
This team is an embarrassment unto themselves, and this is why you cannot have an NFL team run as a mom and pop shop in this day and age.
Yeah,
you know, like all the best teams are hyper aggressive corporate.
Yep. It's this Bears squad. It still baffled me, and you could go back to the tape on this show. It still baffled me how much hype the Bears were having.
I could not understand it. I was like, why is everybody talking about Justin Fields? We don't even know if he could throw the football.
Right. And so it's like, I saw all that and I was like, why is there so much hype around this team? And lo and behold, we've seen how the last few weeks have played out.
It's kind of flat.
Yeah.
I think he lost his career week 1 because I thought that game came down to whoever won that game was going to extend their career, either Jordan Love or Justin Fields. So I think at some time they sit him down and it's like, sorry, kid, you're not working out. And again, they're looking at guys like Drake May or Caleb Williams here. So
yeah, this has not been a good week for the Chicago Bears. It's been
very strange week.
Very much a whirlwind week. The defensive coordinator all of a sudden resigns. There's reports of a potential FBI raid at his house. I don't want to speculate further on what that could be. But that's all. All I know is that Pat McAfee reported that yes, there was some sort of an FBI raid.
Maybe they were raiding his house for Trump documentation there.
Oh, maybe that would be quite the twist. I thought you were gonna be like, oh, maybe they were trying to steal some plays from the playbook, right?
No, they got secret documentation from the Trump administration.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. There
we
you
go
go
deep. This rabbit hole goes deeper than you think, Gibby.
Wow. Who knew that the defensive coordinator would be getting the secret documents? This was you got that, and I believe there was also a theft at Soldier Field as well. You had Justin Fields blaming coaching and then saying it was taken out of context, and I'm
just waiting for him to say that was AI generated.
Yeah, could you imagine?
I didn't say that was AI.
Yeah, the voice was changed to make it look like I said AI. This was and the Chiefs just dominated here. They really didn't look back. They led 34-0 at the halfway point. And the Chiefs, they had the rough week 1, but they're starting to turn it around, similar to the Bills, and they were able to do it at home. Oh, by the way, Taylor Swift was there. I don't know if anybody saw that. I did
not. This is brand new information.
I know this is pretty big. Apparently there was a ton of cameras and minute by minute, play by play of where Taylor Swift was in the stadium, what she was reacting to, who she was leaving with, what she ate.
According to TikTok, she was not happy with the security at Arrowhead because she informed him that she was coming to the game and she requested tinted windows so that the cameras couldn't see in. They were like, okay, we'll give you tinted windows, but apparently the tint was not great enough because we did see the pop star who is on a little bit of a break here before she has to go out on tour there again.
Yeah, her
You think this is a little bit of a crazy theory here. Do you think Brett Veach uses this in negotiations for Chris Jones?
Oh, really? Oh, ooh.
He'll be like, hey, bro, I can't give you $30 million, but you stay here. Look what Travis got.
See, I like that conspiracy. Why Taylor Swift would want to be involved in the contract negotiations of Chris Jones?
I'm not saying like Taylor Swift, but be like, hey, listen, Travis got himself a nice little celebrity. All the endorsements that you can't get these endorsements anywhere else. Chris Jones, he can get the endorsements. So
Yeah, there you go. So Taylor Swift, get ready for that for the next couple of weeks. All over your timeline, all over your feeds. Again, play-by-play, up-to-the-minute news of what's happening with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
I'm surprised they didn't have cameras in the in the audience at the Eagle game. You know, like, oh, are Travis and Taylor here with their mom?
Right? Yeah, that's the next step. It's going to be unbearable for the next couple of weeks. I thought the Deion Sanders posts were a lot. Boy, was I wrong. I did not realize. You know, it's funny when Taylor Swift showed up. There was a great tweet on this, and I wish I could quote the person that tweeted it. But we had heard for a while that maybe Kelce was dating Taylor Swift, but this tweet made a great point. It was that guy back in high school that's like, oh, I'm dating the hottest girl from 4 schools over. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah. And we're still not sure if they're dating or not. Patrick Mahomes put it best, because the media asked him, they're like, did Travis tell you that she was coming? He's like, yeah, he told me last minute, but Travis is the kind of guy that he tells you something, you're not sure if he's telling the truth or not.
That's right. That's what I was saying. It was like he's that kid that's in middle school or high school. It's like, yeah, I'm dating the hottest girl from 4 schools or over. And then you're like, nah, there's no way that. Behold, you show up to prom or whatever, and then all of a sudden there he is with that girl that he mentioned from 4 schools over. All of a sudden showed up. That's kind of how it is. And if you really want to break it down like it's a Bruder film, there wasn't really anything indicative of them actually being together.
No.
And Kelce has not really confirmed it either. If you really want to break it down, so a lot of people are running that they are, but oh my God, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Why are we breaking this down? Who cares? A lot of people
for the great people of Chicago,
85 Bears.
It's time to let it go.
Absolutely. There you go. By the way, Travis Kelce's jersey sales up 400%. The Swifties are out in full force. Please, if you are a Swiftie listening to this, please do not message or attack us, please. Because
just like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. Tell the people about the podcast and then the breakdowns or whatever. And please don't hurt us. That's what I've learned about Swifties. Speaking of things that hurt, let's talk about this Cowboys game. I don't have much. I came into this season the first 2 weeks. I was on a high. I was so optimistic. I was like, yes, here we are. This defense is looking great. We're doing so good. And, I heard stuff about the offense, red zone troubles. I've been hearing about that since week 1. But you know what? The defense is looking good. And this is Arizona. This is the Cardinals. They're tanking this year. Josh Dobbs is the starting quarterback.
As feisty as the Cardinals are, is this just a case of a blind squirrel finding a nut?
I think so. I would like to think so.
Or did everybody just, buy into Jonathan Gannon taking the bus to work?
That's right. That real riveting motivational speech.
He comes from the Nick Sirianni tree, so Nick Sirianni knows something about a weird press conference.
It's true. Defense wasn't good. The offense wasn't good. I was getting ready. I was feeling good, for the first couple of weeks. And I fell into the trap again, Danny T. I'm a Cowboys fan. They give you a lot of hope. They shine you with their talent and their potential. And then lo and behold, they get games like this.
It's okay. They took one of my survivor picks with them. Baltimore took the other. So I'm down to 1.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. You know what? I could care less about your survivor picks. This is about my team. This is about my team, the Dallas Cowboys. Okay. I am hurting. The defense was not this generational defense that was being hyped up. Well, what happened?
Well,
you gotta tell
one of the big things that happened is there was a lot of money that came in on the Cowboys. That's number 1. Because there's always a lot of money that comes in on the Cowboys. That's why you should never bet on a Cowboys game. But if you are inclined to bet on a Cowboys game, they do have the New York Football Jets. No, they already played the Jets.
Already played Jets.
They have another crappy team. Oh no, they have the Patriots. So yeah, I wouldn't bet on that.
They're facing off the Patriots. Yeah, don't bet on that. My advice is to not bet on that.
The Cowboys are a touchdown favorite. That's just a trap. So
I just this defense, this offense for the Cowboys, they got to convert the red zone. They can't overthink it. Dak can't be throwing an interception in the final red zone play of the game for the Cowboys to keep themselves in it. Oh, frustrating. I cannot have hope with this team, Danny T. I just cannot. I cannot be excited about this team. Can never be too committed. They always eventually break my heart.
Oh yeah.
And I am concerned about this Patriots game. We'll talk about it in the picks, but it is that bad. If it'd be one thing if the defense played really well and the offense just didn't show up, and the defense bailed them out so many times, but the defense sucked too.
Oh yeah.
So I just so frustrated with this game. So frustrated. But I'm hoping it's just an anomaly and I'm just being too negative, and we'll be back to many weeks of glorious Dallas Cowboys success. But I am not hanging my hat on that one. We'll see with this Patriots game and what team comes out for this Patriots game. Let's talk about the Sunday nighter, the Steelers and the Raiders. Oh my God, the Steelers look like an actual offense. My goodness, Kenny Pickett was throwing the ball. They were making first downs. They were scoring points. Kenny Pickett looked efficient enough.
They still don't look very good.
I mean, much better than weeks past. But, it's still Matt Canada. For some reason, they're giving them more control.
They play a high school defense, like they played against a high school defense.
Yeah.
And I don't think this week will tell us much more.
No, absolutely not. Devontae Adams, 2 touchdowns, 172 yards receiving for the Raiders. But as you mentioned, the Raiders defense, not good. Was not good. And plus some more brilliant Josh McDaniels play calling at the end there. And so the Raiders are too cash poor, sounds like, to fire McDaniels still at this point. So you're going to have to continue with this, Raider Nation. It's not looking good for you.
The Patriot guys are just too stubborn. They only deal with each other. It's like this kind of like closed circle, like cult almost.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you have to go outside the box and work with people that you're uncomfortable or unfamiliar with,
Yep. That's just how it goes. So other than that, it really wasn't that eventful of a Sunday nighter. That's kind of been the theme of a lot of these primetime games recently, is that they've not been very eventful.
Nope.
And I guess we could use that to transition into our double Monday nighter between the Eagles and the Buccaneers and the Rams and the Bengals. We're going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. Let's quickly talk about the Eagles. They just continue to look solid, strong.
They look like okay, but they're definitely missing their coordinators.
Yes, they haven't been dominant like they were last year, but they're still out that they have. And there was some talk about the Bucs. It seemed like Baker was fine it. Yeah, and it seemed like Baker, in case of the Bucs, it seemed like at first going into this that Baker was starting to establish a connection, especially with Mike Evans. And Mike Evans still had a good game. He had a touchdown in this as well, but this was just going to be a drawn Eagles team that was going to really control the game here against the Buccaneers.
Oh yeah, there was no doubt in my mind that that the Eagles would win this game. I actually hit the super boost there. They offered the Eagles win and Jalen Hurts to score a rushing touchdown, so that was chalk money.
Taschereau not starting. It turns out he was going to play this game, and he did.
Probably shouldn't have, but
probably not. He wasn't lights out either, but he did play. This
having
Rams
a hard time
team,
getting some air under that ball, pushing off that back leg.
That's true. Yeah. This Rams team, I think, is better than what some analysts were kind of giving them going into this season. I look at Puka Nacua has kind of come out of nowhere. a little bit. He
I
was
mean,
close to not playing this season, but
he was ranked very high coming out of college. The only thing that held him back is he got a concussion right before the Senior Bowl, couldn't play, and he wasn't medically cleared to do any drills at the combine either. So, so that's why he slipped a little bit. But he was always, a guy that was going to go out there and be productive.
yeah, and Tutu Atwell, he was somebody in the Rams system for a bit, and then but he's started to shine a little bit more now that he's gotten some more featured plays. He's more featured in the offense. So there's still this Rams team, and Stafford not horrible either.
Now this is off topic, but who's that guy a couple years ago with the Jaguars? Like I felt like Tutu Atwell has been around for like 6 years because there was somebody with a similar name on the Jaguars that played wide receiver, and he was kind of built like Tutu Atwell.
Did he get traded to the Panthers?
Maybe.
That's what I'm trying to think. Because I think I know who you're talking about, and then I know he got traded, and there was a lot of high hopes on this wide receiver. If it comes to us,
no.
Okay, I was going to ask if it was Laviska Shenault.
No,
so it's
no,
not
no.
Laviska Shenault.
I thought it was I thought it was another Tutu.
I think you could be wrong here.
Not
Not Jacob Tutu.
I swear this guy's been around for like 6 years. I was this is only like his 3rd year.
Yeah, he's just been in the Rams system and still very young, 23 years old. So he had a good game as well. But the Bengals were able to overcome and win. I don't know if this is going to be a turning around point for the Bengals necessarily, but I think at least you don't have the fear of going 0-3 to start off the season.
No.
So
it's going to be a rough year for Bengals, though.
Yes, it will be. The way that Burrow has been playing is a little concerning. But there's a part of me that still feels like they're going to find a way to turn it around because the Bengals have had weak starts before to their seasons.
Oh, yeah.
So I think
when you don't play preseason, that's what happens.
It's true. All right. That is a look at week 3 of the NFL season. With that, we're going to move into week 4 and make our picks to rapid fire and wrap this up. Let's start off with the Thursday nighter recording that's happening tomorrow as we're recording. It is a divisional matchup, so I know that Danny T will be at his couch watching this. It'll be the Lions versus the Packers. Your pick.
So I'm actually taking the Lions. I don't think that Jordan Love has faced real competition, and I think Aiden Hutchinson will be his first true test of a pass rusher, and we'll see what he does with the ball and with somebody in your face. As fantastic as the Packers O-line is, I just think that the Lions have the better quarterback, and they run that Madden play better than anybody else. With the mid slants off the naked bootleg to the right.
Yep. This is kind of a toss up for me between both these squads. I am going to give the slight edge to the Lions. I think like a lot of what you said, I think this is a stronger team, especially offensively. And I think this is one of those games for the Lions where it is prime time. I know it's Thursday night, but after being dominated by the Packers for so long, and I know the Lions eliminated the Packers for playoff contention last year, but I think going into this season, I think the Lions are one of the divisional favorites, despite not being despite the earlier loss to Seattle last week, not week 3, but week 2. So I'm going to pick the Lions here. I think this will be one of those statement games for the Lions, and I think offensively that's what's going to help them carry them over. We're going to go to the UK on Sunday, a 9:30 a.m. start between the Falcons and the Jaguars. Your pick.
I don't know about you, but I'm picking to watch the cartoon version of this game.
Right, that is what this game is. I forgot that's the not Nickelodeon,
The Disney game.
the Disney game. That's right.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I'm just hoping that they have that it's complete with sound effects, like
like a
like
boing sound effect.
like doing,
Yes. Nice. Some zip noises. I like it.
some
Yeah.
zip on the ball.
Love it.
But that being said, this is Kyle Pitt's favorite place to play in the world. He goes bananas in the UK, and we might be on the verge of a Kyle Pitts game here. So I might take Atlanta for the upset.
Ooh, I like it. I'm gonna pick the Jaguars still. Jaguars are strong in these UK games as well. And I think they need a rebound after that Texans loss. And I'm not confident in this Falcons offense, despite having Bijan and Pitts. And I hear your point about Pitts having good games in the UK. But I'm going to pick the Jaguars to win in the UK, and Tony Khan can celebrate. Let's go to the 1 o'clock slate of games: the Rams and the Colts. Your pick.
This is really going to come down to if Anthony Richardson is healthy or not. If he's not, then the Rams will have an easier time containing Gardner Minshew than that reckless ball that Anthony Richardson runs. The Colts have been really stingy on the defense, but I think Kyron Williams bounces back here. Sean McVay gives him the ball a little bit more, and the Rams pull off what Vegas is calling the upset.
Yeah, I like that too. I'm also going to pick the Rams here. Even if Anthony Richardson gets back to the lineup, I'm still going to pick the Rams. There's a lot more to like with this Rams team for me than where the Colts are at right now. Especially the way that, again, Puka and Tutu Atwell is playing. And I think defensively, I know there's a lot of Jags, just a guys on that team. But you still got an Aaron Donald that can wreak some havoc. So I'm going to pick the Rams as well to get the Vegas upset. So let's move on to a divisional matchup between the Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns. Your pick.
The Baltimore Ravens are banged up and battered again, and that's the story of the Lamar Jackson and Baltimore Ravens. Kevin Stefanski is coaching for his job, and Deshaun Watson's playing quarterback for his reputation. Despite my better judgment, I'm going to have to back the Browns on this one.
Yeah, I'm also going to pick the Browns. I think that the Ravens are a little depleted coming off of this past week. And the Browns are coming in with some momentum. I like the Browns here, especially at home, to do some damage against this Ravens squad and get the victory. Let's go to the Vikings and Panthers, a battle between two 0-3 teams. Your pick.
I've got Minnesota, and the public is with me. This line opened up at 3, and it's moved to -4 for the Vikings. That means a lot of chalk is coming up on the Vikings. They got the better quarterback. They got the best player in the game. There's no reason they can't win this game. Even if Frankie Lavue is healthy and ready to go, by all accounts, he will be. I can't see a scenario where the Panthers win this game.
Yeah, me either. I'm also going to pick the Vikings. The Vikings are the better team, despite both these two teams at 0-3. If the Vikings lose this game to the Panthers, I start to wave my hand around the panic button and what's going on in Minnesota. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Vikings will win over the Panthers. Bengals and Titans, your pick.
Well, right now the Titans have proven to be a doormat. They couldn't get it done against the Saints. They couldn't get it done last week, and I don't think they get it done this week. I think that Joe Burrow goes out there and at least does Joe Burrow type things. We're not going to see 100% Joe Burrow, but we are going to see enough of where he will effectively dump the ball off to Jamar Chase and let Jamar go make a play.
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Bengals as well. I think this could be the start of something for the Bengals, despite not playing too great Monday night. But despite of how I felt the Bengals played, I think the Rams are a better team than the Titans. And if the Bengals can beat the Rams team, I think they can beat this Titans team as well. So I'm going to pick the Bengals to get the victory there. Buccaneers and Saints in a divisional matchup. Your pick.
Well, we have the revenge game narrative here for old Jameis Winston. But Baker Mayfield's been playing efficient ball. He's been moving the ball up and down the field. And we might see a Chris Godwin breakout game here with Mike Evans going up against his old friend Marshawn Lattimore. But give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, I'm also going to pick the Buccaneers here too. If Derek Carr was starting, I would give the edge over the Saints. But even with the loss of the Eagles last week, this past Monday, I should say, I still think that the Buccaneers are starting to click a little bit in terms of offensive wise. So I'm going to pick the Buccaneers over the Saints as well. Dolphins and Bills, your pick.
Well, Vegas has this as a Buffalo favorite. Obviously, we saw what the Dolphins can do when they run the football effectively. But this is a team with Super Bowl aspirations in Buffalo and not the doormat of the NFL and the Broncos. I think Josh Allen has a good game here and bounces back and throws for 250 and 3 tuds. Give me the Bills.
Oh, there's a part of me that wants to go Dolphins underdog. Part of me wants to go Dolphins underdog. I am going to go Dolphins underdog. I'm convincing myself into it. I think this Dolphins offense, even if Waddle isn't there, it's just loaded. And I think
they're not made to travel. This offense, it's not like
it's fair.
If you take a look at the forecast for upstate New York coming up, if it is anything other than sunshine and birds tweeting, it's going to be Buffalo all day.
I hear your points. I still go with the Dolphins. I think the offense. I think that offense could stymie the Bills here. I think we have a real fun matchup. Here's a game between two Titans: the Denver Broncos and the Chicago Bears. Your pick.
The Broncos just have more weapons. They have a competent head coach and a guy that can pull the trigger. There's no reason I see Justin Fields winning this game or any other game, to be quite honest. Give me the Broncos.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with the Broncos. The Bears just seem to be in this perpetual state of crap that they're cycled in right now. I don't see that changing anytime soon. This is between two franchises that are just battered and beaten this year, but I am going to give the slight edge to the Broncos. I don't think Russell Wilson has been bad this season. I just think other teams have been much better, if that makes any sense. So yeah. I'm going to pick the Broncos as well. Divisional matchup, the Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles. Your pick.
Well, this is actually the biggest. Washington is actually the biggest underdog of the weekend at 8.5 points. I do think that they keep it a little bit closer than the spread thinks. But in the end, there's no reason to think that Washington can stop the tush push and Eagles squeak out the win here. Yeah,
I'm also going to pick the Eagles as well. I think it's going to be a pretty dominant affair from the Eagles as well over the Commanders. Not much else to say there. Steelers and Texans, your pick to finish up our 1:00 games.
Yeah, the Texans have been playing feisty. The Steelers might throw some stuff at him, at CJ Stroud that he hasn't recognized, but I think he can pull out the win at home. I'm going Texans.
Ooh, I like it. Stroud has been playing very well, and I think this could be a game that's closer than people think, especially if the offense doesn't get going for the Steelers. Having said that, I'm going to still give the Steelers the slight edge. There's a part of me that wants to go Texans because it'd be a lot of fun. But I'm still going to give the edge to the Steelers to get the victory. But this is not going to
build a marketing campaign around this. Like if I was the PA guy, at in Houston, every time third down, every time third down comes, everybody's like, get loud for Stroud, let's
There
go.
you go. Yes, I could see that up on the billboards right
Yeah,
now. Loud for
yeah.
Stroud. Yeah, nonetheless, I'm still picking the Steelers. Going into the 4 o'clock games, let's talk about the Raiders and the Chargers. Your pick.
Well, Herbert's the best player on the field, so like why would I bet against him when the Las Vegas Raiders have proven that they're nothing but a doormat. Just another example of you can't give a running back 370 carries and expect him to be efficient coming back the next year. We see it time and time again. Saquon already got hurt. Josh Jacobs can't do a thing, and Kellen Moore is just going to throw the ball all over the yard.
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Chargers. Yeah, I think this is a much more talented Chargers team, despite some questionable coaching decisions from Staley. And I just think the Raiders are also one of those teams that's just not going to be so great this year. I'm going to pick the Chargers to get the victory. 49ers and Cardinals, your pick.
Well, if you want to test your luck and try to make some money, Vegas is giving the Cardinals a 7-1 payout to if they win on the money line. It's a -14. It's a -14 spread. So I was wrong about the Washington game there. This is in fact the biggest spread of the weekend. But we don't see any way that Josh Dobbs pulls out a second upset of a NFC juggernaut here. I'm going with the Niners.
As a Cowboys fan that had to see the Cardinals beat the Dallas Cowboys, I would love to see the Cardinals beat the 49ers, so I do feel less bad about the Cowboys losing. But the 49ers are going to beat the Cardinals in this. I think it's be a pretty dominant display as well. And the final 4 o'clock game, speaking of those Dallas Cowboys, they take on the New England Patriots. 4:25. Your pick for this one.
I'm gonna back the Patriots on this one. Zeke and Will Grier are there. They're gonna be sure that everybody's ready for the Cowboys, and Dak's audible hand signals. And quite frankly, Bill Belichick is just gonna make somebody other than CeeDee Lamb beat him. So
I'm still going to pick the Cowboys. Reluctantly, I shouldn't, but I'd want to believe, and I'm trying to tell myself it was an anomaly game last week, and that the Cowboys will come out swinging. And I know it's Bill Belichick, and his defenses are usually at worst good. But I'd like to think that the defensive side of the ball for the Cowboys would overwhelm Mac Jones. So I'm going to pick the Cowboys with a slight edge. Go Cowboys! Let's go Cowboys! Let's freaking go! But not as enthusiastic as I was in weeks past. Let's go to the Sunday Nighter. Chiefs and Jets, your pick.
Well, the Kansas City Swifties there, they're the hottest team in the nation. I don't see any way that the Jets pull this one out without a quarterback. Trevor Siemian is not eligible to start. He does have to spend 1 week on the practice squad. So give me the Cardinals. Or sorry, the Chiefs.
Yeah, the Chiefs. I was just gonna say, whoa, here we go. There's the upset of the week. Yeah, I'm going Chiefs too. Obviously this game was scheduled thinking that Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing in this time slot, but obviously not the case. Instead, you're going to get Zach Wilson, and you are going to like it as a Jets fan.
It's okay. It's New York. The companies are okay with New York getting beat up by great teams.
Yeah, and Kansas City is going to really beat up on the Jets. And speaking of another New York team in prime time, the Giants will take on the Seattle Seahawks in the Monday night game, the lone Monday night game. We're out of the doubleheader stuff from the weeks past, and we're just getting a single Monday night game between the Giants and the Seahawks. Your pick for that one.
Well, right now it looks like Vegas thinks that Barkley is going to play. I do not think that he's going to play because it's a 24-hour turnaround to get that stadium ready from the Jets and Chiefs game to the Giants and Seahawks game. And if you put Barkley out there, you do put him at risk of re-injuring that high ankle sprain that he says that he doesn't have. But let's face it, he's a little bit of a liar. So I'm going to take the Seahawks for the upset. Geno Smith goes across the country, back to his old stomping grounds, and gets it done with his cast of weapons.
Yeah, I'm also going to pick the Seahawks. I think we'll show up in prime time. The Giants just don't look that great so far, and so I think they're in for another rough primetime outing this time on Monday night. And with that, that is all the games picked for week 4 of the NFL season. A long one here, Mr. Danny T, but really appreciate you sticking around and helping out and making sure that we're staying on track. I know we had a couple of little issues there in terms of some connectivity, but I think it will not show up in the final edit. We got it done. We got everything. Accusations of being a little too loud as well, but we were able to beat the accusations in the end. But nonetheless, no, I really appreciate it. Thank you for coming on. And it's I always enjoy doing this football podcast. I will admit it's getting a little tougher trying to find a guest co-host to fill in this time around at this point of the season. But once we got them in, we're in a mode, we're in a rhythm, we're in a groove.
Call Matt Wilson. He should be available.
I should call Matt Wilson, eh?
Oh,
I should call him. I should bring him up. There are a couple of people that I do want to bring onto this show that I know have some football expertise that have not been on this show before. So I think we'll change it up. We got to get some new people on. Put the new talent over, I say.
No, he'll be and he'll be ready to go as long as it's not an away game. Because obviously on away games he's busy and out of town. So
yep, that's right. For those that don't know Matt Wilson, I think he's still with the Red Blacks, right?
Yes, he is still the assistant equipment guy.
There you go.
So he gets to travel around all summer and get paid for it.
There you go. That's a good gig to have.
So
and Matt's a good guy as well from my chats with him. So
and
I've been in a couple of fantasy football leagues. So you know what? I might give Matt Wilson a call.
There you go.
I'm not saying he's gonna be on next week, but I will have him on standby. So you never know.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, hey, thank you for coming on, Mr. Danny T. Always appreciate it.
Anytime.
Analysis and having me tug my collar a couple of times on the show, but it keeps me on my toes.
That's what we do. We bring the heat.
We bring the heat, and that's what makes this podcast unique. You never know. Each guest co-host brings something different, and that's why I like to put on a different one each week, because each brings their own flavor, their own style, and makes each week different. And so
exactly.
That's what makes this football podcast stand out. But I will end things off here. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next week for another edition of Gibby's Football Podcast.